Hello everyone, welcome to SUNYA IAS, and today we are finally done with test number 1, and in this video I'll be sharing that what to read and how to read for environment test number 2, right? And also if you guys need any improvisations in these videos, that what to read and how to read, just to comment below, and also do give me your review that how are you finding these videos. All right, so let's begin. The test number 2 with respect to environment, we have the theme of biodiversity conservation efforts, right? Floral and faunal biodiversity, and lastly the mapping area, that is North India's biodiversity. All right, so with respect to this, we have to do the biological diversity. Isme you have to cover all the three: the genetic, the species, and the community diversity. Then we'll be moving on to the measurement. In this you have to do the species evenness and species richness concept, and then finally the three different types of diversity: the alpha, beta, and the gamma diversity, right? Then we'll be doing the concept of biodiversity hotspots, moving on to the hottest hotspots. Then there is this another concept of mega diverse countries, followed by this concept of LMMC, that is like-minded mega diverse countries. Then we'll be moving on to this concept of GIAHS, right? This is given by FAO, all right? And then we'll be moving on to the concept of agro-biodiversity hotspots. Then we have to cover the Biodiversity Act 2002, followed by the Biodiversity Management Committee, which was established. Then what are biodiversity heritage sites? Then we have to do the organizations which are related to the illicit trade and protection of animals, like IUCN, WWF, traffic and sites. Isme IUCN has this red data book and also do this green data book as well. Then there is this mission blue hotspot. Then CMS you have to do. This is Convention on Migratory Species, and iska bhi COP 13 hua tha in Gandhinagar, Gujarat, right? So this COP ka details kar lijiyega, that what was the mascot and all, what was the theme. Then you have to do the National Action Plan for Conservation of Migratory Birds and their habitats. This is another initiative. Then let's move on to the next. Then we have to cover the protected areas. In this you have to cover the eco-sensitive zones, right? Protected areas mein you have to do the biosphere reserves, national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, marine protected areas. Isi mein there is this initiative with respect to the protection of beach, that is blue flag concept, right? Usko kar lijiyega. Then there is this concept of critical wildlife habitat, followed by the difference between the conservation reserve and the community reserve. All right. Then what are community forest rights? कौन सा एक्ट इनको गवर्न करता है? ग्राम सभा के पास कौन सी पावर्स हैं? All you have to do. Then you have to do a difference and direct declarations which are consulted with the peatlands, marsh versus swamps. ठीक है. Then IUCN again, an important species में you just have to cover only 5 to 6 main species which are covered under extinct category, extinct in wild, critically endangered, vulnerable, near threatened and least concern. Then we'll be moving on to the tiger. जितने भी tiger के साथ initiatives हैं national international level पे, you have to cover the tiger reserves also. Then with respect to the NTC, अच्छा इसमें tiger reserves में इतना याद रखना, you just have to cover those tiger reserves which are covered in North India, because mapping में there is this North India's biodiversity. The tiger reserves with respect to the Northeast India's biodiversity we have covered in the class already, right? Then the old students, please find 20 seconds and do mention these tiger reserves belonging to this Northeast India, which we did in the class today. All right. Then NTCA, national and international initiatives with respect to this tiger. Then 5 big cats, you have to do their habitat, number 1, right? Then you have to do the national park or the wildlife sanctuary concerned with them, and finally what is their status. Also, if certain big cat has a census involved with it, then what is the population, right? Chalo. Then a few important ones which you have to cover in detail is the vulture, GB, dolphin, what is the difference between turtles and tortoise, locust attack hua tha, that becomes important. Then what is the difference between crocodiles, mugger and gharial, and what is their IUCN status. Then what are exotic species and how they are regulated in India, that becomes important. Then bamboo, and then cassava. So these are the important things with respect to this year. Then let's move on to biodiversity. तो biodiversity का अभी there was this biodiversity के साथ in Rio conference there was this body called as Conservation for Biodiversity, and उसका COP 15 हुआ था अभी कन्विंग चाइना में. So उसमें जो भी PIB पे 6 to 7 major outcomes लिखे हैं, you have to do that. Then there was this 5th Global Biodiversity Outlook report जो UNCBD ने अभी launch किया, so that has to be done. Then there was this वो लेज वाला issue, ठीक है, PPVFR Act 2001 लेज versus farmers issue, that you have to do. And then ultimately WPA 1972 entire all the 6 schedules you have to do. Just one line you should know कि ये फर्स्ट और सेकंड शेड्यूल है तो ये किसके लिए, 6 शेड्यूल है तो किसके लिए, एक शब्द में पता होना चाहिए, दैट्स इट. फॉर साउथ इंडियन स्टूडेंट्स आई स्पेशली रिसीव्ड द कमेंट, सो एक शब्द में मतलब यू शुड जस्ट नो वन वर्ड डिस्क्राइबिंग द एंटायर शेड्यूल, द एसेंस ऑफ द एंटायर शेड्यूल. ऑलराइट, चलो. Then with respect to the other things, with respect to the biodiversity management, you have to do the CRZ rules, that is coastal regulation zone rules. What are the concept of sacred forest? Then C2 biodiversity conservation efforts में that like you have to cover the concept of seed bank, that is Svalbard, right? Gene bank, the concept of captive breeding. Then with respect to the Wetlands, you have to do the Ramsar Convention. In that, you have to especially do the Montreux Record, and then Wetland Conservation Rules 2010 and their amendment in 2016. With respect to international aspect, you have to cover the CBD, जितने भी इसके initiatives हैं, जैसे Cartagena, Nagoya Protocol, then the Aichi Biodiversity Targets, these you have to do. With respect to the bodies, there are 5 bodies involved with respect to the biodiversity. There is a Central Zoo Authority, National Board for Wildlife, State Board for Wildlife, National Tiger Conservation Authority, and WCCB, right? So these are the bodies which you have to cover. If we talk about the mapping area, the technique will remain the same as I mentioned in the last video as well. So you need to do the rivers, right? The lakes associated, there's national parks, the wildlife sanctuaries, the tiger reserves, with respect to these. And then if there was any tribe in news that you have to do not remember as such, do not try to search for yourself. I'll give you in the class. If you have anything that clicked in your mind with respect to any tribe or something, then you can do. Then what are the endemic species, right? And what is the mountain range or whatever exists in these biosphere reserves. So for this North India's biodiversity, we have to cover Cold Desert Biosphere Reserve, Nanda Devi, Kanchenjunga, and the tiger reserves of Uttarakhand, UP, Bihar, and Jharkhand. So that is it, right? These are all the things which you have to prepare for the next test. I feel that पिछले test का syllabus was intentionally kept very broad, because I knew that you people have 2 days, but today's syllabus is quite short, or comparatively short, I would say, than the test number 1, and I hope that you people prepare well. And also one thing which I said in the class today, you please be thorough with all the previous year questions with respect to the biodiversity, because we are going to discuss each and everything in the class tomorrow, right from the year 2010. All right, so thank you so much. See you guys in the tomorrow's test. All the very best.